Terrestrial Media presents Loup Garou, Tempting Fate series by Mandy and Roth. Performed by Rachel Vivette. Prologue. The smell of my fear was intoxicating to them, to werepanthers. I couldn't seem to stop my pulse from racing or the light sheen of sweat wanting to develop on my palms. Both had started the moment I'd sensed the threat. I'd foolishly been preoccupied with thoughts of attending a birthday celebration for a 3-year-old boy, and had allowed the group of werepanthers to get the jump on me. I knew better than to believe I could have a night without violence, a night without being stalked by creatures of the dark who wanted nothing more than to see me dead. That was, only after I helped them find their dark prince. As if I even know who the Dark Prince is. 3 years was a long time to live in fear. I'd pulled back from the public eye, hoping to avoid incidents such as this, but it hadn't helped. No, the enemy was attacking at an alarming rate. Where once it had been random yet violent, it was now bordering on nightly. Low growls sounded from the shadows, the places the security lights didn't reach, reminding me I wasn't alone. I'd counted 4 of them, but I'd been fooled before. 2 lay in bloody heaps less than 10 feet from me, and 2 more stalked me. Their supernatural senses no doubt heightened to the point they could hear even the slightest intake of breath on my part. I lacked the ability to shapeshift. Part of me was glad, less shaving and all, but another part was envious. I was tired of them having the advantage. While I wasn't weak, I wasn't exactly a die-hard killing machine. I knew enough to get by, but getting by seemed to be harder of late. I stared down at the blood-covered, colorfully wrapped birthday present. The tiny train pattern was perfect for a little boy turning 3, or had been, prior to me bleeding all over it. I'd found Ricky a group of engines for the wooden train set he'd be opening at his party, a party I'd sworn I'd be at but would not make. Even if I somehow managed to survive, I couldn't show up in my condition. I wasn't sure of the extent of my injuries. Being immortal tended to skew my judgment when it came to what one would consider mortal wounds, but I knew I was in bad shape. I'd already lost feeling in one arm, but I was thankful. Before I'd managed to kill 2 of them, they'd slammed me off the hood of 7 different vehicles. The white-hot pain in my shoulder had now eased to a dull ache. I did my best to stay upright, but went to one knee all the same. I could feel the remaining 2 werepanthers moving in on me. They were close, but still put off by my display of power. I hadn't intended to use as much magic as I did, but was grateful I had. My gaze flickered to the dead men. I should have felt remorse for taking lives. If I lived through the night, I just might have guilt, though with the rate the enemy had been attacking and what they'd stolen from me in the past, I doubted I'd have too many issues with it all. My vision blurred at the same moment I felt a familiar presence closing in on me. It radiated safety. Help was coming. At least I hoped it was. It was also the only solace I had as I gave in and collapsed completely to the hard surface of the parking lot. I blinked and forced my gaze upwards. I didn't want the last thing I saw in this world to be a dead werepanther. The moon would work nicely as a substitute, just in case I was wrong and I was on my own. Again. Chapter 1. "Tell me again who I'm meeting today," I said, holding on to one of my closest friend's shoulders while I stretched my leg high in the air. The need to work the kinks out of my sore muscles before daring to go on with a day filled with exercise seemed wise when I started. Now, as I stood there with visions of caffeine dancing through my head, I began to second-guess myself.